Hello and welcome back to the Beardworks Podcast. You're lucky enough to be joining us for our third episode. It's been a bit of a hell of a ride for us coming into this week. So first off, cap off the ranks, Nick, how you going, mate?
Yeah, good. Bloody freezing. Trying to keep warm.
It is pretty cold here in Australia, especially during the winter times. So third episode. Pretty happy so far. I feel like every episode that we get done, we get a little bit better at talking into the mics. So yeah, I mean, let's talk about last week's episode. We had a little Easter egg for people that love the Dead Rising series. I made a little mistake in the Cosmic Ghost Rider comic talk, which is pretty funny. So if you picked it up, good on you guys. Second of all, you may have heard Nick call me Scads. That is my nickname. All my mates call me that. So if you do hear it once in a while from him, he's talking about me. So anyways, moving on. So a movie we both watched recently, Underwater, that was released earlier this year in January. Nick, what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it was really cool. Like, I like the movies where they're just trapped, trying to get out. There's hectic stuff. They don't really know what's going on. But the thing that I loved the most about it was the suits. I couldn't stop looking at the suits. It was literally, if they would have spray painted black, Gears of War suits.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. They were pretty cool looking suits. I mean, if you look back, I watched one of the trailers when it first were released. I didn't know what to expect from it. I thought it was just like a generic horror movie. And I was very surprised at the outcome of the film. Wasn't obviously box office hit. It did cost something like between 50 and 80 million to make, and I don't know if it returned that much, but
30 to 40 it made back, so it definitely lost. I'm pretty sure.
Well, being a January movie, I mean, when movies get released in January, you know that it's not going to be a big success, and that's why it's released in January. That's what big companies like that in the movie business, they release movies in January because it's normally the dead part of the year. So, but yeah, I mean, walking through it, what do you think of the cast?
I think Kirsten Stewart definitely should have grown her hair out a bit, but it is what it is. It was pretty good. These like one-off random horror movies, I don't really care too much for the cast because I know there's probably never going to be a sequel or anything. So as long as the cast gels together well, I'm all for it.
Yeah, it was a really good, interesting aspect on. We've seen it a million times before. The way this movie's presented, that people are trapped, need to escape, there's some kind of monster or thing that was trapped that has now been released and is hunting them. We've seen plenty of movies. I mean, back in I forget what year it was, but probably when we were well before we were born or around the same years. There was a few movies out that time. There was 3 that were released in one year. There was like Abyss, Leviathan, and something else. I can't remember off the top of my head. But it's funny to think that all those movies are like deep water kind of horror movies, and that they all came out in the same year. Whereas horror movies these days, I find are really just found footage, and it's cheap thrills.
Yeah, we're definitely in the Paranormal Activity era. I'm kind of burnt out on found footage. But I did watch the same night I watched Underwater. I watched one called The Monster Project.
Oh yeah,
it's another found footage one. It's like these dudes have a YouTube channel and they watch all these like supposedly real horror videos. You know, those bullshit ones that get around. People share them and that. But in this movie, they like try to track down the real monsters, and it's pretty interesting. You should definitely watch that, and we'll have a chat about it. But
yeah, no, I mean, there's. Like I said, there's a lot of movies these days and horror movies they just get pumped out year in, year out. And we always talk about how funny it is when Facebook pages put up saying, people aren't able to sleep now without having the lights on because this movie was so scary. And or I can't remember those other ones, but there's always gold ones. And I know we always tag each other in them when we see them. Netflix's new horror movie is so hard to watch that people have to stop halfway through or something like that. But going back to Underwater, it was a really cool, start from the start. It's such an action pack from the very get go. Like you have this like very slow crawl, and you don't know what exactly is happening at the time. And then it just feels like there's a bit of an earthquake, and you don't know what's actually happening. And all you see is like the pressure inside the building starts crumbling, and water starts coming through. And so you straight away see the main lead, which is Kirsten Stewart's character, Nora. She's like running for it. And to save the whole facility, she has to shut it off the floor that she's on because otherwise the pressure is going to be like the pressure is going to crush it and the whole facility will go down. And to see her make a decision with another side character to shut the doors when you can see people running towards them to say, hold the door. Funny little, Hodor from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it definitely was like that. It was hectic.
Yeah, like for her to make a decision to cut it off, and then you see that whole section of the facility get crushed.
Just get flattened straight away. For people that don't know, underwater, it's like this crew on a deep sea mining facility. It's like 7 miles underwater. So like outside the pressure's like 8 tons per square inch or something. It's like super crazy pressures. So like one little fault in the system, the whole thing's going to just collapse.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously it kicks off and all this other stuff happens, but that's just the intro, getting the taste of the pressure.
It just starts off with a really cool aspect of like at the bottom of the ocean, and it's because there's been horror movies in recent times been out in space, like Life that came out a couple years ago, I think it was, with Ryan Reynolds and
Jake Gyllenhaal, the one that's like The Thing but in space.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. But this one, like I said before, I really do enjoy these movies where they're trapped and they have to try and fight their way through aspects of the area that they're in to escape. Sort of like The Descent, The Cave. That was one of my old favorite movies as well. These movies, it's all about the feeling of being trapped and having to fight your way out and overcoming your fears. Excuse me. And so it builds up the characters pretty well. I feel like Nora's an interesting character. Obviously, you see that she's had some kind of loss in her life. She has this necklace that she clutches onto all the time. Is it TJ Miller? He's the big goofy guy in the
comic
movie.
relief.
Yeah, so he has his like little teddy bear that he likes to hold on to, and he needs to get it back to somebody. And so the characters, and it's not like it's a little while before you see your first death. Obviously, you see a couple characters get killed off pretty quickly through the pressurized cabin area. But then you see one of the other characters that she first met in the first probably like 15 minutes of the movie. Like they're all about to do the walk out onto this rig that will drop them deeper to get to another part of the facility. And they have to wear those, like Nick would say, the Gears of War suits. And you see that one of them's got a crack in it. And the character that you sort of picked up at the start with Nora, he gets instantly like just crushed by the pressure.
The pressure is so massive. Like these suits are meant to withstand this 8-ton pressure. They go into like the decompression chamber and flood it. As soon as it floods, his visor cracks a little bit. He looks at everyone, and then it literally looks like he explodes because the pressure is that big. It crushes him that fast. It's hectic. It's like an implosion on a person.
And it's just like red mist and body parts. It's pretty gruesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and throughout the movie, you see they overcome challenges, which is really cool. And then you have certain characters get picked off. It's just like a generic horror movie where you like lose parts of the cast throughout the story. But I mean, we could talk about that any other time. And it's a straightforward horror movie really after that. But what were the cool things that you found throughout the film?
Well, I was going into it just expecting just some like generic or underwater, some fault in the system, got to like get back to the surface. But when all the like kaiju shit started happening, all the Cthulhu looking dudes, like you think it's just going to be normal, and then all this supernatural stuff starts happening. All like because the earthquake you find out later that caused the system to go up was actually like something being awoken from them mining. It's like it looked like a big Cthulhu or a kaiju if anyone's seen Pacific Rim. Yeah, it's just I wasn't expecting all that stuff. Well,
I know I read something earlier today that they were saying that this movie was taking bits from H.P. Lovecraft's The Cthulhu Monster, that the book came out a long time ago. But yeah, they're taking bits and pieces from that and to show the monster at the very end, because for people that haven't seen it, you should go watch it before you hear any more of the spoilers. But these are like sort of Aquaman kind of people or beings that can move extremely fast in these deep descent of water. But they could probably move. We don't know. We haven't really seen them go to the top of the surface before, but they obviously fly around in the bottom of the ocean, sorry. And they're just picking off our main cast characters as they go. And at the very end, they sort of have to overcome the last challenge, which is to get through like a bunch of these beings sleeping, and eventually they wake up and it's just like a little battle at the end there. But then you find that they'd actually been sleeping on one of the tentacles of the actual god level monster that's above her, Nora being the main character. And you just see it's like, yeah, a giant Cthulhu kind of looking beast. And yeah, like you're saying, kaiju, anything to do with those kind of big monster movies. I was looking straight at it, and I kept thinking like Gears of War, like some kind of like monster from Gears of War, like standing over the top of them, obviously with the armor looking very similar to Gears of War. It was pretty cool. It could actually show that a Gears of War movie at this current time is doable with the kind of technology that we have.
Yeah, like this average B grade horror movie really gave me hopes for a Gears of War movie. Like, if you Photoshop Batista's head into this suit, Gears of War movie trailer straight away. Like, it would be wild.
Yeah, it was definitely a good watch, and I found that compared to other horror movies that have come out in recent times, it was something different. I know it's still generic, but the found footage stuff is just getting so bland at the moment, and the jump scares aren't real scares. And we talk about this all the time with our friends, is that it's more about building up the atmosphere and the slow crawl, and not having that jump scare jump out in front of you, but building up something that's terrifying right in front of you, not having it a loud noise at the screen or something fall for something and just like breaks the silence, but having something like really terrifying just facing you, and making the characters not so much powerless against it, but make them want to fight and get away and to survive. I like the aspect of those kind of horror movies, rather than having the found footage or the Paranormal Activity or the Conjuring kind of movies where it is a lot more jump scare based. I just like the building of the atmosphere.
That's why I think The Haunting of Hill House was so successful, because that built so much tension and creepy vibes, and that was horrific to watch. Like, I love horror stuff, and that was scary. Because
Yeah.
I don't really find much scary. You're similar to me. Like, all of our friends don't watch horror movies with us. We're the only ones. But The Haunting of Hill House, I think everyone should watch that. It's like a masterclass in horror, I feel.
Yeah, and because it's based over a season, or it's like a short, series, it builds it up quite well. Because at the very beginning, spoilers, people, at the beginning when the mum, I remember that, I think it's the first episode. I haven't watched it for a while, but I mean, it's edged into my memory because I love it. The mother is sort of like running around in the background while the father's like getting all the kids out of their rooms.
Oh yeah, that's horrific.
And I was just like, she's running around like swinging her arms and stuff like that. And I was thinking to myself, I was watching this with my partner at the time, and I kept thinking to myself, did you see that? And she looks at me and she goes, yeah, what was that? And I said, that was the mother. I think she's either possessed or, something's going wrong. And the thought of like, silently picking up your children, sneaking them out of the house, and in the background, you see this crazy person running around. I just kept thinking, in a giant house, of course. Like, that was just for a beginning of the story. Like, to see that, I was like, okay, this is actually quite, not so much terrifying, but like very interesting. And I want to see how this outcome comes along. And obviously, as the story progresses, you find out what happens at the very end, how it came to that position in that time when you see her do the crazy arm flicking and running around the background. So to build up to that, it was just a good story. And yeah, if you have not seen The Haunting of Hill House, definitely go watch it.
Yeah, it's on Netflix for people that don't know. It's definitely worth a watch. I've been through it twice now. I love it that much.
But yeah, going back to Underwater, I enjoyed it. I know I like my cheap thrills in horror movies. When I say cheap thrills, I don't mean jump scares, but watching different horror movies, because obviously for people to create this kind of stuff, unless it comes from content from books or other small TV shows or one shots or comics, it's good to see what people can come up in their mind and how horrifying they can make it, because it shows the kind of imagination that some people can have. People can have really good imagination, but to see like a horror or a monster or something dark, and deceitful, something like that, to see it brought to the screen and see the story play out through it is really interesting. And I think I have a good imagination, and watching other people's imagination come to light on screen is just a joy to watch, even if it may be a cheap horror movie and it may all have the cheap horror movie tropes. Still, Underwater is definitely worth your time for at least one watch through.
And speaking of imagination, people flexing their imaginations, let's move on to the PS5 event.
Yes.
There was a lot of new stuff shown. Definitely imagination was in overdrive over at Sony. A lot more than Xbox at the moment, I feel. A lot more.
Yeah. I mean, we spoke about in the last episode about some of the PS4 exclusives that came out and how they blew, Xbox out of the water. We spoke about Horizon, which we were corrected during the week that it did not come out on launch. It was come out around the same time the PS4 Pro that was released. So we're sorry about that. We're not perfect. But yeah, it was definitely an eye opener to see what the next gen looks like and what we got to look forward to. So, I mean, I thought the beginning, I loved the Spider-Man game on the PlayStation 4. We didn't really talk about that in the last episode, but that was a really cool PS4 exclusive. And watching them bring Miles Morales into it, I thought was pretty cool because I think at the beginning people thought it was just going to be like DLC or like an add-on or a short game, but then the developer came out and said no, it's a full fleshed out game. So that's pretty cool. So that was the cool start. What do you think?
Yeah, I really did like the Spider-Man game. I don't know, as a comic fan, I just am not as interested in Miles as I am Peter. I just think Peter Parker is a more interesting Spider-Man. But saying that, I loved Into the Spider-Verse, and that's pretty well Miles Morales movie. So I hope they go down the route of like Spider-Verse and like just with the wackiness and craziness. I think that would make a really sick game.
Yeah, and I think from what we've seen so far, from the little snippets we got, it should be interesting. Kind of weird. It looks like very neon-esque. I think they're just trying to bring out the color in trying to say that the PS5 has this kind of potential. So I'm really interested. I think anything the Spider-Man is cool. And so anything more Spider-Man in game wise, obviously, I reckon it's gonna be really cool as well. So
Well,
first off,
they've got the Morbius movie coming out, which is he's a Spider-Man villain. It'd be
yeah,
cool to see Morbius in this game because I love vampire movies and vampire comics and stuff. So like
yeah.
seeing a vampire villain in like a Spider-Man game, I think that would be wild.
Well, there's the future for Spider-Man and the Spider-Man verse or Spider-Verse is huge at the moment with your Venom that was pretty successful. People thought it was going to be, a kick to the curb, but I actually really enjoyed Venom. And I think obviously with Venom 2 coming out sometime in the near future, and they're going to be bringing Carnage into it, which is obviously really brutal kind of character. So that should be really interesting. And I think they were talking about doing some kind of crossover with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, but they just need to make it work. I think, horror movies, hero kind of movies have been going on for so long now since, Iron Man's real, debut back in 2008 to where we are now. It's crazy to think that they're still kicking on and doing so well, but they've built a universe now. They have to keep going, I think, until like when do you think these will stop?
Well, I don't even know how long comics have been going for since like the 30s or something. That we've got literally unlimited source material to keep making wicked movies. I hope they never stop. Like after
Yeah.
the whole MCU is it's still going, but like the conclusion of Endgame, I just want more. Straight into an IV hook, straight into my veins. Just I need more Marvel.
Yeah, well, they've done so well to set up the universe. So hopefully these continue on. I do think it has to come to an end eventually because I think in about 10, 15 years' time, they'll just start remaking them again like they do with anything that's successful. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, drawing it back to the PS5 event, Miles Morales, as this new Spider-Man game looks kind of cool. And then they kicked it off again, like with, I hope everyone's excited for this. Gran Turismo. How keen are you, Nick?
Oh well, it's number 7, and considering that I haven't played any of the previous 6, I'm probably not going to play 7. So
Yeah, that was a bit of a rev.
yeah,
I'm not going to buy PS5 to play Gran Turismo. Very cool racing simulator. Like I said I think I said in the last episode how Forza is, the Xbox, people love that driving simulator. Gran Turismo is the PlayStation version. But every time a new PlayStation comes out, a new Gran Turismo comes out. So we just knew it was going to be here.
I reckon it's going to be bundled with the PS5, like the PSP was bundled with Gran Turismo, whatever one was out at the time. I reckon it's going to be a bundle game. It's never going to be a solo purchase for me. If it comes in the bundle, I'm going to 100% play it because it looks really good for a car game. But I'm just not into racing.
Yeah. So from Gran Turismo, they released a ton of other gameplay of the games that will potentially be coming out on release. There's a large list that I don't think will be coming out on release, but there will be some that will be coming out around Christmas time and probably early 2021. So what was what was one of the games that jumped out at you?
Oh, the icon, the shooting star, the diamond in the rough for this event for me was Resident Evil Village. I love Resident Evil. The movies, the games, everything. Resident Evil Village looks insane.
Yeah. From what I saw, I mean, I haven't played all the Resident Evil games. I know you've smashed them out, and I know I love watching say content creators will play them. I really enjoy that. The Resident Evil world is really cool as well, but I think they're really taking it back to the Resident Evil 4 days of that kind of game with this new Village game.
Yeah, I recently replayed 4, and it is definitely like a standout in the series. 7, I loved because I love horror stuff. 7 was awesome for horror, but it went too far in the horror. There wasn't enough shooting. Like Resident Evil was a shooter. I think Village looks like the perfect mix of like that intense, brutal graphic horror with good gunplay as well. Because if people don't know, Resident Evil 4 is set in a village. I don't know if this is the same village in number 8, but it'd be really, really cool to see. Like, I don't know, some parallels or some callbacks to 4. I reckon.
Well, I think really with the remasters of 2 and 3, and obviously people want Resident Evil 4 to be remastered, I think they're taking this opportunity to release Resident Evil 8 Village, as what they call it, as, you know, a tipping of the glass to the Resident Evil 4 game. They probably will be releasing Resident Evil 4 remastered, but
Yeah.
I feel like people want to see those certain characters. Like, I think at this stage, as far as we know, you play as the character from Resident Evil 7.
Ethan.
Yep. And obviously Resident Evil 4, you played as Leon. Now, Leon is obviously there's the main characters in Resident Evil movies and in the games and stuff like that, but Leon is by far the most favorable character, isn't he?
Yeah, he's super iconic. He's not in the first one. It's Chris Redfield in the first one, which he's in the trailer for 8. But like 2, 4, 6, Leon's the main character of all of those, and he's even in a couple of the movies or one of the movies. I'm not sure, but yeah, I definitely think we're going to get Leon in this one. They're not going to not show Leon in the village. They have to.
Well, if you work it out, you know, like I said, like they're sort of tipping the glass to the Resident Evil 4 game. You think that Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 8, 4 games later, he's going to come back. Like Resident Evil 4 was his story. Like, I mean, his story came well before Resident Evil 4. But whenever I talk about Resident Evil games with people say Resident Evil 4 was one of their favorites. So I feel like, you know, 4 plus 4 is 8. So I'm sure he's going to be, that's my quick maths, obviously. He's going to be coming into it. So, but yeah, that definitely was a standout. I mean, like I said, wasn't my favorite game there, but I know that it's your favorite game, and rightly so. It looks awesome. So hopefully it just like hits the nail on the head, comes out swinging. So
yeah, I definitely think it's going to be a success. And everyone knows Resident Evil. It's like zombies, T-virus people, like big mutants. But the spanner in the works for 7, or not 7, for Village, I'm sorry, werewolves. I'm reading an article right now, confirmed werewolves. So that's not a monster in the trailer, that's a werewolf.
That would be interesting.
Because it looks very Transylvania, Dracula Castle kind of stuff in the trailer. So you never know, Resident Evil might be bloody flipping the switch, getting even some more supernatural stuff into it.
I'm just not sure how I feel about. I know how the story of 7 went, and I know at the end of this trailer, it shows, you know, Chris Redfield walking in and going, "Sorry, Ethan," and just caps bloody Ethan's wife from the last game that he spent all the game trying to save her.
Yeah, in Resident Evil 7, for people that haven't played it, which I highly recommend, your wife goes missing. You spend the entire game saving her, tracking her down, and then finally you do save her. And Chris Redfield like picks you guys up in a helicopter at the end of the game, and that's the final cutscene. In the trailer of this one, he walks in and just starts unloading a whole magazine of his gun straight into her. See what the last game meant nothing. There's got to be there's got to be something going on.
There's something more to it, but they've changed Chris Redfield's character, like as in his design, so many times now. I'm not sure how I feel about this one, the new one as well. Last game he was a bit more skinnier because I know you played him in one of the DLCs, or was it DLC? Yeah.
It was like can't remember what they're called, like Stars something or Raccoon City something. I don't know.
So, anyways, that was interesting, and obviously Resident Evil, massive game and also series, so that will sell well no matter what. And I think the hardcore fans like yourself, you know, you guys are gonna love it. So, but one of the other games that I don't think, I mean, I love the name of it, trust me, and I was like, okay, this might be really cool because I love anime and Japan's kind of like culture and stuff like that. and the sort of like the ghost and horror aspect of Japan's the Japanese culture is pretty cool as well. But when I watched the trailer, I was just a bit taken back. I didn't think it was that Flash, which was the Ghostwire Tokyo. That was a supernatural kind of game.
It looks like a VR game. It doesn't look like a controller game.
100%, I agree.
You don't see anyone moving in the trailer. It's just like static hands, like doing spells, and it looks like VR to me. I don't know how they're going to do it, but
I mean, I think they try to make it looks pretty flashy, as in glowy kind of wise. Like it's showing those bright, vibrant colors in certain aspects, and I definitely don't think it's going to be a AAA game. Like the way I watched it now, like you said, the hand signs and the kind of action was very stagnant. Like they were just going straight at the enemies, and I saw this one scene where he just popped his hand out and stuck his hand into its heart and ripped it out, which was kind of cool. But the supernatural world I love, but this definitely missed the mark, and I felt like they could have done so much more with it. But I definitely do think it's going to be. Sorry, I don't want to say definitely, but it does feel like a VR kind of game, and I'm a bit hesitant because VR is still very limiting at this stage.
Unless you've got like a Valve Index or anything, like $3,000 setups, you're never going to be able to play VR very nicely, I feel.
No. But yeah, so that was one of the ones that I saw it and I was like, okay, this is cool. This is pretty cool. The trailer looks interesting. And then as it kept going, they showed a bit more gameplay and I was like, oh, this is very bland. And yeah, just, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it now. When I keep thinking about it and going back and watching the trailers yesterday, it just didn't really capture what I thought could have really been a real home run hit if they put it in the right direction. So unfortunately, that's what happens. Not every game's going to be a hit, but I can understand that they're just trying to make this big list. Like Xbox came out with nothing pretty much. And so they just brought out this massive list to say, hey, this is what we're going to have available within probably the first 6 months of the console being released. Get keen, this is all the different kind of aspects we're taking, all the different avenues. So
another game that is definitely going to be shit, Bug Snacks. That game just looked absolutely trash. I'll be a bit more harsh on you. Did not look good. Why was it in there?
They have to keep the wider audience entertained. So obviously you got kids games as well, and then you got fun games. I mean, we live in the age, the day and age we live in right now is everything is streamed, everything's on YouTube. So of course they're going to make it all over the place. They're going to try and target every little bit because somebody's going to play it, someone's going to stream it, someone's going to capture it and put it on YouTube. So it is what it is. You get them with every console, unfortunately.
Bug Snacks wasn't even the worst one I thought of that whole presentation. Could you even decipher what Goodbye Volcano High was? Is that like some furry, like lizard people game? Did you see that?
I don't remember. I don't even remember. I'm sorry.
It was the one. There was no gameplay. It was just like it looked like an anime, but like dinosaurs, dinosaur teenagers. Like that looks like some weird fetish game. I don't know. I'm not into that.
Yeah, I mean, I love my anime, but I did see something like that, and I just sort of I didn't switch on too much when I was watching that part, unfortunately. But there's still some really cool games throughout that gameplay. They always hit it like a really good one, and then they'd just like be a couple average ones, and then a real average one, and then they'd pop out another banger. And I mean, Godfall. What do you think of that? That looks kind of cool.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks very interesting, but I think I need to see a bit more before I can come to a conclusion.
It looks like a simple hack and slash, but like the combat is very repetitive, which we've seen before, but the armor and the abilities look kind of cool too. So
I'm reading here, you will be able to unlock godlike armor to defeat powerful foes. It will be out this holiday season. Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's got potential. It looks pretty. I mean, but you want to hope with this new hardware that they keep raving on about that it's going to look good. I mean, it's crazy to think that GTA 5 is coming out again. I mean, that was released on the 360, then the Xbox One, and now it's gonna be on the Xbox Series X, of course, but obviously vice versa, all the PlayStations as well. Like, how many times can they release GTA 5? I understand people want to keep playing it, so I guess that's where they're making their money from. But when they showed Rockstar at the very beginning, I could tell everyone was so hyped for it, and then you just see the GTA 5 trailer again. Oh,
yeah. I don't know. GTA's in a weird spot. Not about it. I'm over it.
Yeah, it can only go so far. People still play it though. I mean, I guess it makes a good either streaming or good content on YouTube, because you can just do so much stuff with the creator kind of mods of it. So, but
And I
yeah,
reckon
what other games?
the last one that stuck out to me was Horizon. That trailer was very impressive.
Yeah, we're currently playing it right now, so anything more is good, really.
Yeah, I'm really liking Horizon Zero Dawn, like the older one. I'm playing that right now. And then seeing the trailer for the Forbidden West just literally made me just turn my PS4 straight on and want to play more. Because, I don't know, that Viking future, like primitive robot stuff, it's really sick.
I mean, they're always going to make a new Horizon game, and to see it coming out PS5, it's really cool. But they have to continue the story. As far as obviously I've seen the trailer now, so I know that Aloy survives at the end of it. If they'd kill their protagonist at the very end of a game, it'd only be a one shot. So, actually, what other games have come out that sort of? Well, there's been other games that have done that before, but yeah, overall, Horizon's gonna win it. I mean, it's gonna do well. Like, no matter the way you look at it, Horizon's gonna do well. The other games that I thought looked really cool. I don't play much of the Hitman games, but Hitman 3 looked kind of cool, but there wasn't any gameplay, so I can't really judge too much on that.
Yeah, a lot of this presentation was just cinematic stuff, which I like. I love cinematic trailers, but I did like seeing some gameplay. And from watching Resident Evil, there was gameplay in that. Walking through those forests and stuff, and in that house, that was gameplay, and it looked wild.
The other games that looked cool was Project Athia. I think that was the tech demo they showed not long ago with the ray tracing kind of stuff. I think that was the same game because it's being made for PlayStation 5. That looked kind of cool.
Yeah, those mega scans are going to be insane. Hopefully they utilize that in Horizon, which I definitely think that's the type of game that would benefit from those environments.
Yeah. What other games that I thought was really cool? Deathloop was kind of cool. I mean, I know you and one of the other mates really like that.
Yeah, I did really like it, but it looks like a clone of what's the game? Dishonored. The movement and the traversal, it just looked like Dishonored, but I'm open to more Dishonored because Dishonored's pretty good.
Yeah. There was another game that I thought was really cool, but I'm looking at the list. Oh, there goes Returnal. That was that sort of like space game where it showed a female protagonist flying down into a planet. She gets killed and then she wakes back up again and she's flying back into the planet again. That looked kind of cool.
Yeah, that's the one where it's like it looks a bit horror, like the planet is infecting her and her mind. It's like she's going insane as she's fighting all these aliens. That reminded
me a bit of Dead Space, but there was another game on there. I forget what it was called. I'm just having a look on the list now. It was one where that man was sort of like the guy was in the spacesuit and that little girl was there. Yeah, that's it. That headgear looked exactly like something out of Dead Space.
Or Titanfall.
Yeah, one of the two. Either way, I was like, oh, is this like a little prequel to Dead Space? Or is he going, I don't know, like, is it, calling back to one of the games? I don't know. As soon as I saw that trailer, I instantly thought Dead Space. I was like, oh, Dead Space 4 or prequel, whatever they want to make it. So,
yeah, obviously. Pragmata and Returnal definitely could have been cut into the same trailer. Like, they look very, very similar. If they were cut together, I wouldn't be able to tell.
Returnal showed a little bit of gameplay where she's like firing a weapon and killing monsters, and that I like. The third person kind of aspect of shooter games is pretty cool. So I'm pretty keen to see where that goes.
But yeah, Pragmata is 2022, so that's even too far away to even care about.
Yeah, true. And I mean, they showed NBA 2K21, which is just a generic sports game as usual, like FIFA's 21.
They should have showed Kobe.
Yeah, it would have been pretty cool.
Might be too soon. Who knows?
Yeah, could have been. But yeah, I mean, there's another game in there that's a bit of an old game that's been remastered, which is Demon's Souls, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I love the From Software games, but I just don't know if I'm ready for another one. I'm still recovering from Sekiro. I'm still having nightmares.
Yeah, I mean, I never played Demon's Souls, but I know there's a lot of people that rave on about it, and obviously then Dark Souls was released, and Dark Souls is like the defining game, but Demon's Souls was before that, so I'm really keen to see. And it looks like when it's been, like, the way it's been remastered, like the graphics look pretty sick. Obviously the gameplay will be relatively the same. But I mean, it's kind of cool to go back to that kind of the beginning of those kind of games and go, all right, guys, bring it to the PS5, remastered. All this, we're going to glamour it up, make it look like it's a beautiful world, but you're going to be trying for the rest of the game. You know what I mean?
Definitely should have been Bloodborne 2 over Demon's Souls. I don't think people want Demon's Souls as much as they want Bloodborne 2. but that's just a Bloodborne fanboy saying that.
Yeah. I'd love to see Bloodborne too. Honestly, I would. Oh, we've spoken about it many times. We'd love to see a Bloodborne anime. That would be sick.
Just anything.
The
Anything
Bloodborne
Bloodborne.
world. The Bloodborne world is so rich and so interesting. I love it too. But if we can't talk about it every episode, unfortunately.
Oh, we
Um,
could. No.
But other than that, there's a
Um,
few other little I think they were indie kind of developer games. So you had that Kenya Bridge of the Spirits, which looks like a pretty fun game.
yeah, looks like Cameo. If you ever played the old Cameo game on 360.
Yeah, but I think, and then there's Sackboy. Sackboy's back, a big adventure. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, overall, I think it was a very good presentation. There's some heavy hitters. There's some shit ones, Bug Snacks, for example.
But let's call it the
Yeah.
one that's going to be one of the coolest ones, and it looks so good in the gameplay, which was Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
Oh, that whole trailer was just flexing the SSD, the load times. Going through those portals and loading new worlds, that's all that trailer was doing.
That
Flexing.
Watching Ratchet and Clank again was so fun and brought back so much memories playing on the PlayStation 2. I didn't play much on the PlayStation 3. And, was it Ratchet and Clank on PS4?
A remaster of the first one, which was very good.
Yeah, so Ratchet and Clank World is really cool. Now, I'm not saying I'm a massive fanboy, but I'm definitely going to play this game because it shows the extent and the power of the PS5, but it also shows that it doesn't have to be super realistic graphics to look amazing. It looks so good. Just the colors, the weapons. The coolest thing about Ratchet and Clank is the weapons. Seeing the worlds and different enemies is cool, but the different archetypes is so cool.
I thought the coolest thing was seeing the female Lombax. I thought they were extinct. I thought Ratchet was the last one. I could be wrong, remembering wrong, but yeah. There was a couple curveballs in that trailer. The load times, the Lombax is coming back, and the teleporting stuff.
Yeah, that was a really cool and a really good reveal. But I think PlayStation definitely knocked it out of the park. There's a few games where they didn't show any gameplay at all, which was really disappointing. Because I remember I watched, I think I was watching Dr. Disrespect react to it, and the Hitman 3 thing came up, and he's like, "Oh yes, Hitman 3, I love it." He goes, and it just showed the cinematic stuff, and he goes, "All right, you need to show gameplay." And then the developer comes in and goes, "We're going to show you a very, very small snippet of gameplay," and it just shows I can't remember how it was, but it's just a very, very, it's 2 seconds or 3 seconds worth, and the doc lost it. He just you got to be kidding me, that's not gameplay, and he just lost it. And I do agree with him. PlayStation did so well, but then there was a few of them that took it back and realized, okay, not all of these are going to be ready. They've already said that some of these games aren't coming out to 2021, or 2022 in some instances. So I'm just keen.
Yeah, I'm very keen for the PS5. I've been an Xbox fanboy forever, but I'm getting the PS5 first. I'm putting my foot down. That's it.
Well, once we've talked about the games now, the hardware we know what's in there. Obviously, it does, as long as it plays the games and makes it look good and it runs well. That's what we're happy about. Let's talk about the design of the controller. What do you think?
The controller's good. Console's good. It's better than what anything Xbox has shown so far. The black box,
I mean, the controller looks cool. I mean, I saw something. I don't know. It was a leaked video online, and it had a guy using the PS5 controller, and it sort of extended and popped up, and had something else. It looked fake, I have to admit, but then it looked also. I couldn't think it could. I wouldn't think they put that much technology into the controller for making it what kind of price it'd be. I don't think we could afford it. It had a little screen. It extended. I feel like it looked real, but I didn't believe what I saw. So I don't think that's what's going to happen. But the controller, if what they've shown us so far looks cool, I want to get it in black though. I feel like white gets really dirty really easily.
If it's gloss, I don't think it'll get as dirty. If it's matte like the Xbox One X I've got, it just shows everything.
Yeah. And so you like the design of the console?
Oh yeah, I don't really mind. I'm not going to be staring at it that much, but it seems like they're a bit more creative than what Xbox is doing, just giving us a black rectangle. At least they're trying to think outside the box.
I mean, I like the idea of it, but I do like the idea of the simplicity of the Xbox Series X. I haven't obviously seen it in first person and haven't touched it myself, but from what I've seen of it, it's very simple. It can hide away. It looks like anything else. Whereas the PlayStation, it has a bit of a funny shape to it. And I keep looking across where my PlayStation 4 is sitting right now, and I keep thinking, where am I going to make this fit? And because they've actually compared it, they've shown the size comparison from the PlayStation 5 to the 4 and the 3, and the PS5 is quite long. So I'm not sure how I'm going to make that work.
All in due time, I reckon. We're gonna have to make it work if we want to play it.
I think the top parts, like the fins, I might be able to cut them off a little bit, maybe. No, I better not do that. But
no,
But I like the idea of making a digital only edition and then the disc edition as well, because I know that a lot of people don't buy hard copies anymore. So to have that digital adoption and probably drop the price by like $50 to $70, that'd be actually really decent for people that don't use discs anymore.
I think that covers it. Kind of talked about everything. Bit to digest there.
Yeah, I mean, overall, speaking about the whole console kind of war kind of thing, Xbox still have to bring something out. So eventually, when they drop because they'll take whatever they can from the PlayStation Live event, the good stuff, and go, okay, this is what we need to do. We need to release something like similar to this. They're going to take the things that people didn't like, may it be the games that didn't show any gameplay, or some of the games that didn't do it as well, like the viewer time. I think that Xbox will take that and go, okay, we have to show every game that we have on this list right now in the gameplay form. So they're going to push the developers to get stuff out of them. But Xbox have to do something now after showing this. And I think they would change their photo on their Facebook page. I know on the Australian and New Zealand page they'd have it looks like it's the controller, like a quick not a quick overview, I should say, but a quick like little snippet of the controller from an angle where it looks a little bit different. More, I think, with the thumbsticks, it looks very similar, but with the what's it called? I forget what it's called now, but the arrows and stuff. They've changed that to the more elite style.
It's just going to be a flex fest until the console is actually released. They're just going to be competing now.
The price point's going to be massive, I think, too. I think anything, if they try to charge, I think there was a link on Amazon that leaked, I'd say a couple of days ago, and it had the price of what it would be in the US. People said that it's like around $500 US. So in Australia, I think that's like $650. I don't know if that's going to be true or not. If $650, I think is a fair asking price. I think if it was $800, between $800 and $900, I probably would look at getting it straight away. I'd probably wait because I've got my PC. I'm starting to game on PC more. I love the idea and I love the exclusives on the PlayStation, but to spend $800 straight away, it'd be a bit of an ask for me anyway.
Well, yeah, that wraps up the PS5 event. You guys stay tuned for when the Xbox event happens. We'll definitely be talking about that. Definitely.
Yeah. So first and foremost, thanks for coming in and listening. Hope you've enjoyed it. Talked about a movie, talked about some console stuff like we have every other week, but we're looking at changing it up all the time. So thanks for tuning in.
Peace out.